Hello, my good friends. How are you today? May God bless you all. I will not introduce anything. You guys watch the video and feel it. Then let's evaluate together. The Langley Mansion, perched on Pacific Heights like a crown jewel. Its Victorian spires piercing the San Francisco fog. Inside, crystal chandeliers cast golden flecks across marble floors. But it was the rose garden out back that stole the show. Roses bloomed in every shade of red and white, their petals catching the late afternoon sun like tiny mirrors. The air smelled of damp earth and sweet blooms, a rare pocket of quiet in a city that never slept. This was where Lucas Langley stood, his charcoal suit crisp, his dark hair swept back, and his gray eyes fixed on the horizon. At 30-something, he was the kind of guy who could walk into a room and own it without trying. Rich, handsome, and untouchable. But beneath the polished exterior, Lucas was drowning in loneliness, tethered to a family legacy he didn't always want. Today, though, wasn't about him. It was about his father, Edward, whose Alzheimer's had trapped him in a loop of memories about his late wife, Clara. Edward was obsessed with throwing a golden anniversary for her, convinced she was still alive. Lucas, desperate to give his dad a moment of peace, had hatched a plan. Hire an actress to play Clara. Enter Amara Carter, a stunt woman from Oakland with a smile that could light up the Bay Bridge and a chip on her shoulder from years of being underestimated in Hollywood. Amara stepped through the garden gate, her curly hair bouncing in the breeze, her brown skin glowing under the sun. She wore a vintage teal dress chosen to match Clara's style from old family photos. But damn, she made it look like it was made for her. Lucas froze his breath, catching. She wasn't just beautiful. She had a spark, like she could laugh at the world and mean it. Amara scanned the garden, her eyes landing on Lucas. She raised an eyebrow, sizing him up. "So you're the guy who owns this castle," she said, her voice warm but teasing. "Thought you'd be older, or at least grumpier." Lucas smirked, caught off guard. "And I thought actresses were supposed to be punctual." "You're late. Blame Oakland traffic," Amara shot back, crossing her arms. "And FYI, I'm a stunt woman. I jump off buildings, not recite Shakespeare." Before Lucas could respond, Edward shuffled into the garden, his white hair thin but his eyes bright with a childlike hope. He wore a faded blazer, a relic from his days as a real estate tycoon. When he saw Amara, his face lit up like Christmas morning, "Clara," he whispered, his voice trembling. He reached for her hand, and Amara, without missing a beat, took it gently. Lucas watched his chest tightening. He'd expected a performance. Not this. Amara's eyes softened, and she smiled at Edward, like he was the only person in the world. "Eddie," she said, using Clara's old nickname, "you look handsome today. Got a song for me?" Edward's grin widened, and he started singing "The Way You Look Tonight" in a voice that was rough, but full of love. The notes wobbled, but they carried a weight that made Lucas's throat burn. Amara swayed with Edward, her movements natural, like she'd known him forever. She even hummed along, her voice low and rich. Lucas couldn't tear his eyes away. This wasn't acting. This was something real, something that made the garden feel alive. As Edward finished, he kissed Amara's hand, tears in his eyes. "You're still my girl, Clara." Amara blinked back her own tears, squeezing his hand. "Always, Eddie," she whispered. Lucas felt a pang, not just for his dad, but for the way Amara made it all seem so effortless. She was good, too. Good. Then it happened. As Amara stepped back, her heel caught on a slick patch of stone, and she stumbled. Lucas moved on instinct, his arm shooting out to catch her. His hand landed on her waist, steadying her, and for a split second the world stopped. Her body was warm against his, her breath hitching as their eyes locked. Up close, her eyes were a deep brown flecked with gold. And damn, they held a fire that made Lucas forget where he was. Amara's lips parted, and she let out a nervous laugh. Shit, that was close, she said, her voice shaky. Nice catch, Millionaire. Lucas's face heated, but he didn't let go right away. You fall better than anyone I've ever met, he said, his voice lower than he meant. Amara raised an eyebrow, a playful smirk tugging at her lips. Careful, Langley. I might think you're flirting. Before he could reply, a sharp voice cut through the moment. Lucas, what is this Lillian Langley? His aunt stood at the garden's edge, her silver hair pulled tight and her lips pursed. At 60-something, she was the family's gatekeeper. All sharp edges and sharper suspicions. She eyed Amara like she was a thief caught red-handed. Who is this woman, and why is she holding your father's hand? Lucas stepped back, letting go of Amara Lillian. This is Amara Carter. She's helping with Dad's anniversary idea. Helping Lillian's voice dripped with disdain. She's an actress, Lucas. Probably after our money. You think I don't know her type? Amara's smile vanished, her jaw tightening. She opened her mouth to fire back, but Edward, still lost in his memories, tugged at her hand. Clara, let's walk by the roses. Amara swallowed her anger, forcing a smile for Edward. Sure. Eddie, she said, leading him away. But Lucas caught the hurt in her eyes, and it hit him harder than he expected. As Amara and Edward wandered off, Lillian grabbed Lucas's arm. You're playing with fire, Lucas. This girl's trouble. I can smell it. She's not trouble, Lucas said, his voice firm. She's doing this for Dad, that's all, Lillian scoffed. For Dad, or for a fat paycheck? Wake up, Lucas. She doesn't belong here. Lucas didn't answer, his eyes drifting to Amara. She was kneeling by a rose bush, pointing out blooms to Edward, her laugh ringing out like music. Damn, she didn't belong here, but Lucas was starting to wish she did. Later that afternoon, Amara sat in the mansion's kitchen, a sprawling room with copper pots and a view of the bay. She sipped coffee from a chipped mug, trying to shake off Lillian's words. Across from her was Toby Reyes, her best friend and a dance choreographer, with a grin that could charm anyone. His dark eyes sparkled with mischief as he leaned forward. Girl, that Lucas guy was staring at you like you were the last slice of pizza. Spill the tea. What's the vibe? Amara rolled her eyes, but her cheeks warmed. No vibe. Toby, he's just some rich dude who thinks I'm here to rob his vault, and his aunt, total bitch Toby, laughed loud and unapologetic. Oh, she's got that I own the world energy. But Lucas, he's into you. I saw how he caught you out there. Dude moved like Spider-Man. Shut up, Amara said, swatting his arm. I'm here to play, Clara, not chase a millionaire. Damn, this place is bigger than my whole life, but it's not my world. Toby leaned back, crossing his arms. Maybe not, but you're killing it. Edward loves you, and Lucas can't stop looking. Just don't fall for those gray eyes, okay? Rich guys are trouble. Amara snorted. No worries there. I've got enough drama with auditions and bills. As Toby launched into a story about his latest dance gig, Sophie, Tran Lucas's assistant, burst into the kitchen, her black ponytail bouncing. She was 20-something, Vietnamese-American, and a walking disaster. Oh my God, Amara, I'm so sorry, she blurted, nearly dropping a tray of coffee cups. I didn't mean to spill that latte on the table earlier. I'm such a klutz. Amara laughed, waving it off. Chill, Sophie. It's just coffee. You're good. Sophie's face lit up. Really? You're so nice. I thought you'd be like all Hollywood diva. Nah, Amara said, grinning. I'm Oakland, not Hollywood. Big difference. As Sophie babbled about her job, Lucas walked in, his suit jacket off and his sleeves rolled up. Amara's stomach did a flip. He looked less like a millionaire and more like a guy. A really hot guy. Everything okay in here? He asked, his eyes lingering on Amara. Yeah, just surviving. Sophie's coffee attacks. Amara said, her tone light, but her heart racing. Sophie gasped. Oh no, boss, I didn't mean... Relax. Sophie. Lucas said, a rare smile tugging at his lips. You're doing fine. He turned to Amara. Can we talk about the anniversary plans? Amara nodded, ignoring Toby's exaggerated wink behind Lucas's back. She followed Lucas to the balcony where the city sprawled below the Golden Gate Bridge, a red slash against the fog. The air was cool and tiny. Golden lights hung above, casting a warm glow. Lucas leaned against the railing, his hands in his pockets. You were amazing with Dad today, he said. I didn't expect... That Amara shrugged, tucking a curl behind her ear. It's not hard. He's sweet. And that song. Damn, it got me right here. She tapped her chest, her smile soft. Lucas watched her, his expression unreadable. You're not what I expected, Amara. Most people would have phoned it in. But you made him happy. Don't get all mushy on me, Langley, she teased, but her cheeks warmed. I'm just doing my job. Maybe, Lucas said, stepping closer. But you're damn good at it. The air between them crackled, and Amara's breath hitched. Up close, she could see the flecks of silver in his eyes, the way his jaw tightened like he was fighting something. She wanted to crack a joke, break the tension, but her voice caught. Lucas opened his mouth to say something, but Sophie's voice rang out from inside boss phone call. Lucas cursed under his breath. Shit, sorry, I'll be right back. As he walked away, Amara let out a shaky laugh, her heart pounding. Get it together, girl, she muttered, but as she looked out at the city, the golden lights reflecting in her eyes, she couldn't shake the feeling that Lucas Langley was trouble, the kind she might not want to avoid, back in the garden. Lillian cornered Lucas, her voice low. I'm having her checked out. Lucas, this, Amara Carter, she's got a past. I won't let her ruin us. Lucas's jaw clenched. She's not ruining anything, Lillian. She's helping Dad. Let it go. Lillian's eyes narrowed. You're blind. Lucas, she's playing you and you're falling for it. Lucas didn't answer, but as he glanced at Amara, now laughing with Edward by the roses, he felt a pull he couldn't explain. She didn't belong in his world, but damn, he wanted her to stay. Hey, if you're loving this spark between Lucas and Amara, under those golden lights, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. Do you think they'll overcome Lillian's suspicions and find their way to each other? Let us know what you think, and stay tuned for the next part. The Langley mansion hummed with activity in the weeks following Amara's first visit. The Rose Garden, once a quiet haven, now bustled with planners and caterers prepping for Edward's golden anniversary. Lucas Langley stood on the balcony overlooking the chaos, his gray eyes scanning the scene. The San Francisco fog had lifted, revealing a city that sparkled under the autumn sun. But Lucas's mind wasn't peek-appet on the view. It was on Amara Carter, the stunt woman who'd crashed into his world like a damn meteor. Every time she showed up playing Clara for his dad, she left him rattled. Her laugh, her quick wit, the way she made Edward light up. It was messing with his head. And that moment in the garden, when he'd caught her mid-fall. Shit. He could still feel her warmth under his hands. Down in the garden, Amara was helping Edward pick roses for the ceremony. She wore jeans and a loose blouse, her curly hair tied back, but she still looked like she belonged on a movie poster. Edward, in his faded blazer, was telling her a story about Clara, his voice soft and distant. She loved these white ones, he said, holding up a rose. Said they reminded her of our wedding day. Amara smiled, tucking the rose behind her ear. They're perfect. Eddie. Clara had great taste. She caught Lucas watching from the balcony and gave him a mock salute. Her grin, teasing Lucas's lips, twitched, but he turned away before she could see him smile. Get a grip, Langley, he thought. She was here for a job, not to turn his life upside down. But not everyone saw Amara's charm. Lillian Langley, Lucas's aunt, was on a mission. She'd hired a private investigator to dig into Amara's past, and the results had her practically foaming at the mouth. At a family dinner in the mansion's dining room, a cavernous space with mahogany walls and a chandelier that screamed old money, Lillian dropped her bomb. The table was set with crystal and silver, the kind of setup that made Amara feel like she was in a museum. She sat across from Lucas, trying to ignore the way his eyes kept flicking to her, while Edward hummed happily at the head of the table, lost in his memories. Lillian cleared her throat, her voice cutting through the clink of wine glasses. Lucas, we need to talk about your actress. She spat the word like it was poison. I had her checked out. Did you know she did some unsavory work? A low-budget film with scenes I won't even describe. This is the kind of person you're letting into our home. Amara's fork froze halfway to her mouth. The room went quiet, the air thick with tension. She felt every eye on her. Lucas's, Edward's, even Sophie's, who was hovering by the door with a tray. Amara's chest burned, but she kept her face calm, her Oakland grit kicking in. Unsavory, she said, her voice steady but sharp. You mean the indie film where I played a badass who saved the day? Yeah, I did that. It paid my rent. You got a problem with me working for a living, lady? Lillian's lips pursed, her eyes narrowing. Don't play innocent. Ms. Carter, you're here for one reason, to worm your way into this family's money. I know your type. Amara's hands clenched under the table. She wanted to flip the damn table and walk out, but Edward's gentle hand on her arm stopped her. Clara, don't fight, he mumbled, his eyes cloudy. Amara swallowed hard, forcing a smile for him. I'm okay, Eddie, she said softly, but her heart was pounding. Lucas slammed his glass down, the sound echoing. That's enough, Lillian, he said, his voice low and dangerous. Amara's here for Dad. She's not after anything. You want to talk about family? How about you stop treating Dad like a liability and let him have this? Lillian's face reddened, but she didn't back down. You're blind, Lucas. She's playing you and you're too smitten to see it. This will ruin our reputation. Ruin, Lucas snapped. You think I give a shit about what your country club friends think? She's making Dad happy. That's more than you've done in years. The room fell silent again, the weight of Lucas's words hanging heavy. Amara stared at him, her anger mixing with something else, surprise, maybe even gratitude. But Lillian's words had cut deep, and she wasn't sure she could stay in a place where she was seen as a gold digger. She pushed her chair back, her voice quiet but firm. I'm here for Edward, not your drama. But if you think I'm some con artist, I'll walk right now. Edward grabbed her hand, his eyes pleading. Stay. Clara, please. Amara's throat tightened and she sat back down, but the damage was done. She avoided Lucas's gaze, focusing on Edward, who was humming again, oblivious to the storm around him. Later that night, Amara sat on a bench in the rose garden, the golden lights above casting soft shadows. The air was cool, carrying the scent of roses and sea salt from the bay. She hugged her knees, replaying Lillian's words. Your type. She'd heard it before, casting directors who saw her as too urban producers, who wanted her to tone down her blackness. But hearing it from Lillian in this gilded cage of a mansion hit different. Screw this, she muttered, kicking a pebble. I don't need their bullshit. Footsteps crunched behind her and she turned to see Lucas, his tie loosened and his sleeves rolled up. He looked less like a millionaire and more like a guy who'd just fought a war. Mind if I join you? He asked, his voice softer than usual. Amara shrugged, scooting over. It's your garden, Langley. Do what you want. Lucas sat, leaving a careful distance between them. I'm sorry about Lillian, he said, staring at the roses. She's protective. Too much sometimes. Protective, Amara snorted. She's a damn bulldog, and I'm not here to steal your silver spoons. Okay, I just wanted to help your dad. I know, Lucas said, turning to her. His gray eyes were intense, like he was trying to see through her. I see how you are with him. It's not just a job to you. You care. Amara's defenses wavered, but she kept her tone sharp. Yeah, well, caring doesn't pay the bills, and it sure as hell doesn't make your aunt like me. Lucas chuckled, a low, warm sound that caught her off guard. Lillian doesn't like anyone. Don't take it personal. She smirked, but her heart wasn't in it. Easier said than done. Millionaire. They sat in silence for a moment. The golden light swaying above Lucas broke it, his voice quiet. Why do you do it? The stunt work, the acting. You're good, Amara. You could be doing more than jumping off buildings. Amara looked at him, surprised by the question. Because it's mine, she said finally. I grew up in Oakland, where dreams like that get laughed at. But every time I land a stunt, every time I make someone believe a story, it's like I'm proving them wrong. Plus, I'm stubborn as hell. Lucas smiled, a real one this time. I can see that. It's refreshing. Don't get used to it, she teased, but her stomach flipped. Damn, why did he have to look at her like that? Before Lucas could reply, a new voice cut through the night. Lucas, darling Vanessa Blake, a tall brunette in a designer dress, glided into the garden like she owned it. Her green eyes flicked to Amara, sizing her up before dismissing her. Vanessa was a high-end interior designer, an old friend of Lucas's, and Amara noted with a sinking feeling, drop-dead gorgeous. She threw her arms around Lucas, her laugh tinkling like champagne glasses. I heard about the anniversary party. I'm here to make it fabulous. Lucas hugged her back, but his eyes stayed on Amara. Good to see you, Vanessa. This is Amara, our consultant for the event. Vanessa's smile didn't reach her eyes. Charmed, I'm sure, she said, barely glancing at Amara. Lucas, we need to catch up. It's been forever. Amara's jaw tightened. She stood brushing off her jeans. I'll leave you to it, she said, her voice cool. Got work to do. She walked away, ignoring the sting in her chest. Vanessa's hug, the way Lucas didn't pull away, it shouldn't hurt, but it did. Stupid, she thought. He was just a client, not her damn prince. The next day, Amara was back at the mansion running lines with Edward in the living room. The room was a time capsule, velvet curtains, a grand piano, and photos of Clara everywhere. Edward was in high spirits teaching Amara an old dance step Clara loved. Like this, Clara, he said, twirling her gently. Amara laughed, following his lead, but her mind was elsewhere. She'd overheard Lillian on the phone talking about digging deeper into her past. The thought made her stomach churn. Toby burst in his energy, filling the room. Girl, you look like you're about to star in a rom-com, he said, flopping onto a couch. Where's your leading man? Still mooning over you. Shut up, Toby, Amara said, but she couldn't help grinning. Lucas is probably off with his fancy friend Vanessa. She's more his type. Toby raised an eyebrow. Vanessa? Pfft, she's all flash. No soul. You're the real deal, Amara. And Lucas knows it. Dude's got it bad. Amara rolled her eyes, but before she could argue, Sophie tripped through the door, a tray of pastries wobbling in her hands. Oh, crap, she yelped as the tray tilted, sending a croissant flying onto Amara's lap. Amara burst out laughing, picking it up. Sophie, you're a walking disaster and I love it. Sophie's face turned red. I'm so sorry, I just wanted to bring snacks. Chill, girl, Amara said, tossing the croissant back. You're keeping this place lively. As Sophie scrambled to clean up, Malik Jones walked in his dreadlocks tied back and a camera bag slung over his shoulder. He was a film director. Amara had worked with all charisma and easy smiles. Yo, Amara, he said, grinning. Heard you're living the high life up here. Ready to ditch this gig for my next project. Amara laughed, but her eyes flicked to the doorway where Lucas had just appeared. His face was unreadable, but his jaw tightened as Malik slung an arm around her shoulders. Malik, you know I'm booked, she said, stepping out of his grip. This is my job right now. Job, huh? Malik teased, glancing at Lucas. Looks like more than that to me. Lucas's voice was cold. Amara, can I talk to you? About the schedule. She nodded, her stomach sinking. As she followed him out, she caught Malik's wink and Toby's exaggerated eye roll. Great. Just what she needed, more drama. In the hallway, Lucas leaned against the wall, his arms crossed. Didn't know you were so busy with your director friend, he said. His tone clipped. Amara bristled. What's that supposed to mean? Malik's a colleague? Not that it's your business. Lucas's eyes flashed. It's my business when you're supposed to be here for my dad, not flirting with some guy. Flirting? Amara stepped closer, her voice rising. Screw you, Lucas. You don't get to judge me while you're cozying up with Vanessa. I saw you two last night. Lucas blinked, caught off guard. Vanessa? She's just a friend. What the hell are you talking about? Whatever, Amara snapped, turning away. I'm here for Edward, not your soap opera. Let's keep it professional. Okay? Lucas grabbed her arm, his touch gentle but firm. Amara. Wait. She pulled free, her heart racing. Don't, Lucas. Just don't. She walked away, leaving him standing there, his fists clenched. As she rejoined Edward, she plastered on a smile, but inside she was a mess. Lillian's accusations, Vanessa's hug, Lucas's jealousy. It was too much. Maybe this job wasn't worth it. The Langley mansion was starting to feel like a pressure cooker, and Amara Carter was ready to bolt. Weeks had passed since her blowout with Lucas in the hallway, and things hadn't gotten any easier. Lillian's icy glares followed her like a hawk. Vanessa Blake kept popping up like a bad penny, and Lucas, damn him, was a walking contradiction. One minute he was defending her to his aunt. The next he was throwing shade about Malik. Amara was done with the mixed signals. She was here to play Clara for Edward, not to star in some rich guy's drama. But every time Lucas looked at her with those stormy gray eyes, her resolve wobbled. Get it together, girl, she thought, tying her hair back as she stepped into the mansion's rose garden. The garden was quieter now, the autumn leaves crunching underfoot, the golden lights above swaying in the evening breeze. Edward was inside, napping after a morning of reminiscing about Clara leaving Amara to help Sophie with the anniversary plans. The golden anniversary was shaping up to be a spectacle. White roses, a jazz band, a vintage cake that cost more than Amara's rent. She was arranging table settings when Sophie predictably tripped over a chair, sending a stack of napkins flying. "Oh, shit!" Sophie yelped, her face turning red. "I'm such a mess." Amara laughed, picking up the napkins. "Girl, you're keeping me entertained." "Don't sweat it." Sophie grinned, brushing her ponytail out of her face. "You're so chill, Amara. I thought you'd be all Hollywood, but you're like my cool cousin from Oakland." "Oakland through and through," Amara said, winking. "No Hollywood bullshit here." As they worked, Lucas appeared at the garden's edge, his suit jacket slung over his shoulder. The setting sun cast a warm glow on his dark hair, and Amara cursed herself for noticing. He looked tired, like the weight of the Langley name was grinding him down. "Need a hand?" He asked, his voice softer than usual. Amara shrugged, keeping her tone neutral. "We're good, Langley, unless you want to fold napkins." Lucas smirked, stepping closer. "I'm better at breaking things than folding them, but I can try." Sophie, sensing the vibe, mumbled an excuse about checking the catering and bolted, leaving them alone. Amara focused on the napkins, ignoring the way her pulse kicked up. Lucas picked up a napkin, fumbling with it like he'd never seen one before. "You're hopeless," Amara said, snatching it from him. "How do you run an empire, but can't fold a damn square?" Lucas chuckled, a low, warm sound that made her stomach flip. "I've got people for that. But I'm trying to impress you, so cut me some slack." Amara raised an eyebrow, her lips twitching. "Impress me? You'll need more than bad napkin skills for that." "Noted," Lucas said, his eyes locking on hers. The air between them thickened, and for a moment Amara forgot about Lillian, Vanessa, and the whole messed-up situation. But then she remembered his jab about Malik, and her walls went back up. "Let's keep it professional." "Okay," she said, turning back to the table. "I'm here for your dad, not whatever this is." Lucas's face fell, but he nodded. "Fair enough. But for the record, I'm not the enemy, Amara." She didn't respond, focusing on the napkins like her life depended on it. Lucas lingered for a moment, then walked away, leaving her with a knot in her chest. Why does he have to make this so hard, she thought. That night, after Edward had sung his usual jazz tune and drifted off to sleep, Amara found herself alone in the mansion's living room. The grand piano sat in the corner, its polished surface reflecting the golden lights from the chandelier. She ran her fingers over the keys, playing a soft, aimless melody. The room smelled of old wood and roses, a reminder of the world she didn't belong in. She was about to leave when Lucas appeared, his tie gone and his sleeves rolled up. "Didn't know you played," he said, leaning against the doorframe. Amara shrugged, closing the piano lid. "I don't really, just messing around. My mom used to play when I was a kid." Lucas walked over his steps slow, like he was afraid she'd bolt. "My mom played too," he said, his voice quiet. "She taught me, but I haven't touched this thing in years. Family thought it was a waste of time." Amara looked at him, seeing a crack in his polished armor. "That's bullshit," she said. "Music's never a waste. Play something for me." Lucas hesitated, then sat at the piano, his fingers hovering over the keys. "I'm rusty as hell," he warned, but he started playing Moonlight Serenade. The notes tentative but haunting. Amara leaned against the piano, watching him. In the dim light, he looked less like a millionaire and more like a guy chasing a lost dream. When he finished, she clapped softly. "Not bad, Langley. You've got some soul under that suit." He smiled, a real one that made her heart skip. "Thanks. You're not so bad yourself, Carter." The moment stretched heavy with unspoken words. Amara's fingers brushed his on the piano, and neither of them pulled away. Her breath hitched, and Lucas's eyes darkened like he was fighting the same pull she was. "Amara," he started, his voice low. A crash from the hallway broke the spell. Sophie's voice echoed. "Oh, crap. I'm so sorry." Amara laughed, stepping back, her cheeks hot. "Saved by the klutz," she said, trying to lighten the mood. Lucas ran a hand through his hair, looking frustrated. "Yeah, damn it," determined to clear her head. Amara invited Lucas to a jazz club in Oakland the next night. She needed to show him her world to see if he could handle it, or if he'd run back to his gilded cage. The club, a hole-in-the-wall called Blue Note, was alive with saxophone riffs and the clink of glasses. The air smelled of whiskey and sweat, and the crowd was a mix of artists, locals, and hipsters, sipping overpriced cocktails. Amara wore a red dress that hugged her curves, her curls loose, and she felt like herself for the first time in weeks. Lucas showed up in jeans and a leather jacket, looking out of place, but trying hard not to. "This is different," he said, scanning the room. "Different good or different bad?" Amara teased, leading him to a table near the stage. "Good," he said, his eyes on her. "Real good." They ordered drinks, whiskey for him, gin for her, and watched the band play. Amara felt the music in her bones, her foot tapping to the beat. "This is where I come to breathe," she said, her voice soft. "Back when I was a kid, I'd sneak into places like this, dreaming of being on that stage." Lucas leaned closer, his arm brushing hers. "You'll get there," he said. "You've got the fire for it?" She smiled, surprised by his faith in her. "You're not as stuck up as I thought, Langley." He grinned, clinking his glass against hers. "And you're not as tough as you pretend, Carter." The band struck up a swing tune, and Amara grabbed his hand, pulling him to the dance floor. "Come on, Millionaire. Show me what you got." Lucas groaned, but followed his moves, stiff at first. "I'm gonna look like an idiot," he warned. "Already do." She shot back, laughing as she spun under his arm. Lucas loosened up his hands, finding her waist, and for a few glorious minutes, they were just two people dancing, the world fading away. Amara's laugh rang out, and Lucas's smile was brighter than she'd ever seen. "Shit, you're terrible at this," she teased, dodging his clumsy step. "Keep laughing." "But I'm doing this for you," he said, pulling her closer. Their faces were inches apart, and Amara's heart pounded. She could feel his breath, see the hunger in his eyes. For a second, she thought he might kiss her. Then she saw her Vanessa Blake, of all people, standing by the bar in a sleek black dress. Her green eyes locked on them. Vanessa waved, gliding over like a damn supermodel. "Lucas," she called, her voice cutting through the music. "What a surprise." Amara froze, stepping back. Lucas's hands dropped, his expression shifting to confusion. "Vanessa." "What are you doing here?" "I was meeting a client," Vanessa said, her smile too perfect. "But I had to say hi. You two look cozy." Her eyes flicked to Amara, dismissive as ever. Amara's stomach twisted. She didn't know why Vanessa was here, but it felt like a setup. "I'm gonna grab a drink," she said, her voice flat. She walked away before Lucas could stop her, her chest tight. At the bar, she downed her gin, muttering, "Screw this. I'm done playing games." Back at the table, Lucas sat with Vanessa, his jaw clenched. "You didn't have to barge in like that," he said, keeping his voice low. Vanessa laughed, touching his arm. "Oh, come on, Lucas. I was just saying hi. Your little actress friend didn't seem thrilled, though. Trouble in paradise." "There's no paradise," Lucas said, but his eyes followed Amara at the bar. She was talking to Malik, who'd shown up out of nowhere, his arm slung casually around her shoulders. Lucas's hands balled into fists. "She's here for my dad. That's all." Vanessa raised an eyebrow, her smile sly. "Sure, Lucas. Keep telling yourself that." Amara didn't stay long. She grabbed her jacket, told Malik she'd call him later, and left without looking back. The Oakland streets were alive with neon lights and laughter, but she felt hollow. Lucas, dancing with her, laughing with her. It had felt real. But Vanessa's presence, the way Lucas didn't push her away, made it all feel like a lie. "He's not yours, girl," she thought, hailing a cab. He never was. Back at the mansion, Lucas stood in the rose garden, the golden lights mocking him. Sophie found him, her usual chaos, subdued. "Boss, you okay?" she asked, clutching a clipboard. "No," Lucas said, his voice rough. "I screwed up, Sophie. I don't know how to fix it." Sophie hesitated, then patted his shoulder. "Maybe start with saying sorry, and like not stepping on her toes next time you dance." Lucas laughed despite himself, but his heart wasn't in it. Amara was slipping away, and he didn't know how to hold on. The San Francisco fog rolled in thick, blanketing the city in a gray haze that matched Amara Carter's mood. Weeks had passed since that night at the Blue Note Jazz Club, and the memory of Lucas's hands on her waist. His laugh mingling with hers felt like a cruel joke. Vanessa's sudden appearance had shattered the moment, and Amara had been dodging Lucas ever since. She threw herself into her role as Clara, focusing on Edward's golden anniversary to keep her heart from wandering. But every time Lucas walked into a room, her resolve cracked. Damn him, and those gray eyes that saw right through her. The Langley mansion was a hive of activity. The anniversary plans in full swing. The rose garden was being transformed with white drapes and golden lights, and a vintage jazz band was booked to play Edward's favorite tunes. Amara stood in the dining room going over the menu with Sophie, who was juggling a clipboard and a coffee cup with her usual chaos. Okay, so crab cakes, filet mignon. And oh shit, Sophie yelped as her coffee splashed onto the table. I'm such a disaster. Amara laughed, grabbing a napkin. Girl, you're keeping me sane. Spill all you want, just don't ruin my dress. Sophie grinned, her ponytail bouncing. You're too nice, Amara. I'd be freaking out if I had to deal with Lillian and Vanessa. That woman's like a shark in heels. Amara's smile faded at Vanessa's name. Yeah, well, she can have Lucas for all I care. I'm here for Edward, not drama. Sophie raised an eyebrow, but didn't push. Sure, whatever you say. But, Lucas, he's been moping like a lost puppy since you stopped talking to him. Amara snorted, ignoring the twinge in her chest. He'll survive. Rich guys always do. As Sophie rambled about dessert options, Lucas walked in, his suit crisp, but his expression tired. He'd been working late, dealing with the family business and Lillian's endless demands. His eyes found Amara, and for a second she thought he might say something real. Instead, he nodded curtly. Menu looks good, he said, his voice flat. Let me know if you need anything. Amara kept her gaze on the clipboard. We're fine, Langley. Thanks. He lingered like he wanted to say more, but Sophie's nervous chatter filled the silence. Boss, the band wants to know if we're doing Moonlight Serenade first, or I'll handle it, Lucas said, walking out. Amara let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. Keep it professional, girl, she thought, but professional didn't stop her from noticing the way his shoulders slumped, like he was carrying the world. The tension came to a head at Lillian's charity gala, held on a sleek yacht cruising the San Francisco Bay. The event was a glittering affair with champagne flutes clinking and the city's elite mingling under strings of golden lights. The yacht's deck gleamed, reflecting the city skyline, and the air smelled of salt and expensive perfume. Amara, roped into attending to keep Edward company, wore a deep blue dress that hugged her curves, her curls cascading over one shoulder. She felt out of place among the designer gowns and Rolexes, but Edward's arm in hers grounded her. He was in high spirits, humming jazz tunes and calling her Clara with a smile that broke her heart. Lucas was there too, in a tailored tux that made Amara's mouth go dry. He moved through the crowd with ease, shaking hands and flashing a polished smile, but his eyes kept drifting to her. She ignored him, focusing on Edward, who was charming a group of old friends with stories about Clara. She danced like an angel, Edward said, his eyes misty. Amara squeezed his hand, playing along. You weren't so bad yourself, Eddie. Across the deck, Vanessa Blake held court, her black gown shimmering as she laughed with a group of investors. She'd been invited to consult on the gala's decor, but Amara wasn't buying it. Vanessa's eyes followed Lucas like a predator, and when she sauntered over to him, Amara's stomach twisted. Vanessa touched his arm, leaning in to whisper something that made him laugh. Amara turned away, her jaw tight. Screw it, she thought. If Lucas wanted to play the rich boy with his fancy ex, that was his problem. But the universe wasn't done screwing with her. Malik Jones, of all people, showed up looking sharp in a blazer and jeans. He'd been invited by a mutual friend in the film industry and spotted Amara immediately. "Yo, Amara," he called, grinning as he pulled her into a hug. "You clean up nice. What's a stunt woman doing on this floating palace?" Amara laughed, grateful for a friendly face. "Just keeping the old man happy," she said, nodding at Edward, who was now chatting with Sophie. "What about you?" "Slumming it with the rich folks." Malik winked. "Got a network, you know. Plus, I wanted to see you in action. You still thinking about my film?" Amara's smile faltered. Malik's offer a lead role in his indie project was tempting, but it meant leaving the Langley job early. "Maybe," she said, glancing at Lucas, who was now watching them, his expression dark. "I'm kinda tied up here." Malik followed her gaze, his grin widening. "Oh, I see. You and the Millionaire got a thing going. Damn, girl. You move fast." "Shut up," Amara said, swatting his arm. "It's not like that." But Lucas didn't see it that way. He broke away from Vanessa, striding over with a look that could freeze the bay. "Amara," he said, his voice tight. "Can we talk?" Malik raised an eyebrow, stepping closer to Amara. "Everything cool, man? We're just catching up." "It's fine," Amara said quickly, shooting Malik a warning look. "I'll catch you later, okay?" Malik shrugged, backing off with a smirk. "Your call, Amara. Don't let the rich boy boss you around." Lucas's jaw clenched, but he waited until Malik was gone before speaking. "Didn't know you were bringing a date," he said, his tone dripping with sarcasm. Amara's temper flared. "He's not my date, Lucas. Unlike you, I don't need to parade my friends around to feel important." Lucas's eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean? You think I'm parading Vanessa?" "She's here for work, Amara. Not that you'd care." "Oh, please," Amara snapped, stepping closer. "I saw you laughing with her, all cozy. If you want to play house with your ex, just say it. Don't drag me into your bullshit." Lucas's face reddened, his voice rising. "Drag you? You're the one cozying up with that director guy every chance you get. If you're into him, just go. Don't waste my time." The words hit like a slap. Amara's eyes burned, but she refused to cry. "Screw you, Lucas," she said, her voice low and furious. "I'm not your toy, and I'm sure as hell not wasting your precious time. I'm done." She turned on her heel, pushing through the crowd to the yacht's railing. The city lights blurred through her tears, the cold wind stinging her face. Edward called after her, confused, but she couldn't face him. "Not now." She leaned against the railing, her hands shaking. Why does it hurt so much? She thought Lucas was just a client, a rich guy who'd never understand her world, but the ache in her chest told a different story. Lucas stood frozen, the crowd's chatter fading to a dull roar. He'd messed up big time. Amara's words echoed in his head, each one a knife. "Screw you, Lucas." He wanted to chase her to fix it, but his feet wouldn't move. Vanessa appeared at his side, her hand on his arm. "Everything okay?" she asked, her voice syrupy. "Your friend seemed upset." "She's not my friend," Lucas said, pulling away. "And I'm not in the mood." "Vanessa." Vanessa's smile didn't waver, just trying to help Lucas. "You know I'm always here." He ignored her, his eyes searching for Amara. She was at the railing, her silhouette stark against the city lights. He took a step toward her, then stopped. What could he say? That he was jealous, that seeing her with Malik made him want to punch a wall. He wasn't that guy, or at least he didn't want to be. Sophie, bless her chaotic heart, chose that moment to intervene. She tripped over a cable, spilling a tray of champagne flutes, with a crash that turned every head. "Oh, shit!" she wailed, her face scarlet. "I'm so sorry. Lucas couldn't help it. He laughed a short, bitter sound. "Sophie, you're a walking disaster," he said, but there was no heat in it. He grabbed a napkin, helping her clean up. "Go check on Amara. Okay, I screwed up." Sophie nodded, her eyes wide on it. "Boss? But like maybe say, sorry with flowers or something. Girls love that." Lucas shook his head, but her words stuck. He needed to fix this. But how? Amara stayed on the yacht until it docked, avoiding Lucas and sticking close to Edward. When she finally got home to her Oakland apartment, a cramped but cozy space with mismatched furniture and a view of the street, she collapsed onto her couch, her dress crumpled. Toby called, his voice crackling through the phone. "Girl, what the hell happened?" Malik said. "You and Lucas had a blowout on some fancy boat," Amara groaned, rubbing her temples. "It was a mess, Toby. He thinks I'm into Malik. I think he's into Vanessa, and his aunt still thinks I'm a damn gold digger. I can't do this anymore." Toby sighed. "You're into him, Amara. Don't bullshit me. And from what I saw, he's got it bad for you. Dude was ready to throw Malik overboard. He can jump in the bay for all I care," Amara said, but her voice wavered. "I'm done, Toby. After the anniversary, I'm out." Toby was quiet for a moment. "Okay, but don't make decisions when you're pissed. Sleep on it, all right?" She hung up, staring at the ceiling. Her apartment smelled of coffee and lavender, a stark contrast to the Langley mansion's opulence. She thought of Lucas, his laugh, his clumsy dance moves, the way he'd played the piano for her. Then she thought of Vanessa's hand on his arm, his cold words on the yacht. "Screw you, Lucas." She wiped her eyes, her resolve hardening. She'd finish the job for Edward, then walk away. No more rich boys, no more drama. Back at the mansion, Lucas sat in the rose garden, the golden lights dimmed by the fog. He held a glass of whiskey, but it didn't help. Amara's face, furious hurt, haunted him. He'd been jealous, stupid, and now she was gone. Not literally, not yet, but he could feel her pulling away. Edward's anniversary was in a week, and after that, she'd be out of his life. The thought made his chest ache. Sophie found him her usual clumsiness replaced by a rare seriousness. "Boss, I talked to Amara. She's not happy." "Like really not happy?" Lucas sighed, setting the glass down. "I know, Sophie. I fucked up. I don't know how to make it right." Sophie hesitated, then said, "Maybe tell her how you feel. Like for real. No yelling, no jealousy crap. Just be honest." Lucas looked at her, surprised. "When did you get so wise?" Sophie grinned, shrugging. "I watch a lot of rom-coms. Now go fix it before I spill something on you." He laughed, but it was hollow. Fixing it meant facing Amara, and he wasn't sure he had the guts. But as he stared at the roses, he knew one thing. He wasn't ready to let her go. The fog hung heavy over San Francisco, a gray curtain that mirrored the storm in Lucas Langley's head. Days had passed since the disastrous gala on the yacht, and Amara Carter's words still echoed like a bad song. "Screw you, Lucas." He'd replayed their fight 100 times, each memory a gut punch, her anger, her hurt. It was his fault. He'd let jealousy turn him into an ass, and now she was slipping away. It was the golden anniversary for his dad. Edward was days away, and after that, Amara would be gone. The thought made his chest ache like he'd been hit by a truck. Lucas stood in the Langley mansion's study, a dark room lined with leather-bound books and a fireplace that hadn't been lit in years. He held a crumpled piece of paper. Amara's letter slipped under his door that morning. Her handwriting was neat, but the words cut deep. "Lucas, I can't do this anymore. You deserve someone who fits your world like Vanessa. I'm just an actress, and I'm done playing this part. I'll finish the anniversary for Edward. Then I'm out. Amara." He read it again, his jaw tight. She thought he wanted Vanessa, that he saw her as just an actress. Bullshit, he thought, crumpling the paper. He'd screwed up, but he wasn't letting her walk away without a fight. Outside rain pattered against the mansion's stained glass windows, a steady drum that matched his racing pulse. Lucas grabbed his keys, ignoring Sophie's worried voice as he stormed out. "Boss, it's pouring." "Where are you?" Her words faded as he climbed into his car, the engine roaring to life. He didn't care about the rain or the late hour. He needed to see Amara to fix this before it was too late. Amara's apartment in Oakland was a world away from the Langley mansion. Tucked above a corner store, it was small and cluttered with a sagging couch, a coffee table covered in scripts, and a single lamp casting a warm glow. The walls were plastered with old movie posters and photos of her mom smiling in a jazz club. Amara sat on the couch, her legs curled under her, a glass of wine in hand. The rain drummed on the roof, a soothing rhythm that did nothing to ease the knot in her chest. She'd written the letter to Lucas in a fit of anger, but now, staring at her phone, she wondered if she'd made a mistake. "He's not worth it," she told herself. But the memory of his laugh, his clumsy dance moves, the way he'd played the piano, it all lingered like a song she couldn't shake. A knock at the door startled her. She glanced at the clock past midnight. "Who the hell?" she muttered, setting her wine down. She opened the door, and there was Lucas, soaked to the bone, his dark hair plastered to his forehead, his gray eyes burning with something she couldn't name. "Lucas," she said, her voice sharp. "What are you doing here?" He didn't wait for an invitation, stepping inside and shutting the door. Water dripped onto her rug, but he didn't seem to care. "I got your letter," he said, his voice rough. "And it's bullshit, Amara. You think I want Vanessa? You think you're just an actress to me. You're wrong." Amara's heart pounded, but she crossed her arms, her defenses up. "Oh, really? Then why'd you let her hang all over you? Why'd you act like I was screwing around with Malik? You don't get to show up here and act like you care, Lucas. Not after that shit on the yacht." Lucas ran a hand through his wet hair. Frustration etched on his face. "I was an idiot. Okay. Seeing you with Malik, it fucked me up. I got jealous and I said things I didn't mean. But Vanessa, she's nothing, Amara. A friend. That's it. I haven't looked at her or anyone since you walked into that damn garden." Amara's breath caught, but she wasn't ready to let him off the hook. "Words are cheap, Lucas. You think you can just storm in here all wet and dramatic and I'll fall at your feet. I'm not one of your charity gala girls." Lucas stepped closer, his eyes locked on hers. "I don't want you to fall at my feet. I want you to yell at me, laugh with me, call me out when I'm being an ass. I want you, Amara, because you're real, because you make me feel alive. Damn it, I'm in love with you." The words hung in the air, heavy and raw. Amara's walls crumbled, her eyes stinging. She wanted to push him away to protect herself, but the truth was staring her in the face. She loved him too, and it scared the hell out of her. "You're an idiot," she whispered, her voice breaking. "A complete fucking idiot." Lucas laughed, a shaky sound, and closed the distance between them. "Yeah, I am. But I'm your idiot if you'll have me." She didn't think, didn't hesitate. She grabbed his wet jacket, pulling him into a kiss that was all fire and need. Lucas groaned, his hands finding her waist, lifting her against him as the rain roared outside. The kiss deepened, hungry and desperate, like they were making up for every missed chance. Amara's fingers tangled in his hair, her body pressed to his, the cold of his wet clothes, forgotten in the heat between them. They stumbled to the couch. Lucas's hands sliding under her shirt, tracing the curve of her back. Her skin burned under his touch, and she gasped as he kissed her neck, his breath hot against her ear. Clothes hit the floor, his jacket, her sweater until they were tangled together, the lamp's soft glow hiding the details but not the intensity. Lucas pulled back, his eyes searching hers. "Amara," he whispered, his voice rough. "Tell me, this is what you want?" She nodded, her fingers tracing his jaw. "I want you, Lucas, all of you." They moved together, a rhythm of whispers and touches, the rain a distant soundtrack. It wasn't just passion. It was a promise, a surrender to something bigger than either of them. When it was over, they lay wrapped in each other. The couch too small but perfect. Lucas's arm was around her, his lips brushing her forehead. "I'm not letting you go," he murmured. "Not now, not ever." Amara smiled, her heart full. "Better not, Langley. But you still gotta learn to dance." He laughed, pulling her closer. "Deal, as long as you're my teacher." The next morning, Amara woke to the smell of coffee and the sight of Lucas in her tiny kitchen, wearing one of her old t-shirts and looking ridiculously out of place. "You're burning my pan," she teased, leaning against the counter. "Shit, I'm trying," Lucas said, flipping a pancake that was more charcoal than food. "Cooking's not my thing." She laughed, stealing a sip of his coffee. "Clearly, stick to being a millionaire. Okay." They ate their burnt breakfast, the air light for the first time in weeks. Lucas explained everything. Vanessa was just a friend, someone he'd known since college, and her flirting was one-sided. "I should have shut it down," he admitted. "I was too caught up in you to notice." Amara nodded, her own confession spilling out. "Malik's just a friend, too. He's been pushing for his film, but I'm not into him. Never was." Lucas's relief was palpable. "Good, because I was ready to fight that guy in the damn bay." She rolled her eyes, but her smile was soft. "No fighting. Just be here. Okay with me always," he said, kissing her hand. It was a small gesture, but it felt like a vow. Later that day, Toby showed up at Amara's apartment, his eyes wide when he saw Lucas sprawled on the couch, still in her t-shirt. "Well, damn," Toby said, grinning. "Y'all finally stopped playing Romeo and Juliet." "About time." Amara swatted him, laughing. "Shut up, Toby. You're not helping." Lucas stood, offering a sheepish grin. "Good to see you, man. Sorry for, the drama." Toby waved it off. "Drama's your brand, Millionaire. Just don't break her heart or I'll break your fancy ass." "Noted," Lucas said, chuckling. He pulled Amara close, his arm around her waist. "I'm not going anywhere," Toby fake gagged. "Okay, lovebirds, I'm out. Call me when you're done being gross." As Toby left, Amara leaned into Lucas, her head on his chest. "He's right, she said. "This is gross. We're like a damn rom-com." Lucas kissed her forehead. "Best rom-com I've ever been in." Back at the Langley mansion, preparations for the anniversary were in overdrive. Sophie was a whirlwind, tripping over cables and shouting orders to the caterers. "We're almost ready," she said, nearly dropping a tray of champagne flutes. "Oh crap, not again." Amara caught the tray, laughing. "You're a legend." "Sophie, don't change." Lucas joined them, his usual polish replaced by a relaxed ease. He'd been different since Oakland, more open, more real. He helped set up tables, ignoring Lillian's disapproving looks. She'd been quieter since the gala, but Amara knew the storm wasn't over. Lillian would never fully accept her, and that was a battle for another day. For now, Amara focused on Edward. He was frail but excited, humming jazz tunes and talking about Clara. "She'll love this," he said, holding a white rose. Amara's heart ached. but she smiled. She will, Eddie. It's gonna be perfect. Lucas watched from across the garden, his eyes soft. He'd promised to stand by her, and for the first time she believed him. The anniversary was their chance to honor Edward, but it was also a new beginning for them. Whatever came next, Lillian's schemes, Vanessa's games, or the world's judgment, they'd face it together. That night, Amara and Lucas sat on the mansion's balcony, the city sprawling below. The golden lights swayed above, casting a warm glow on her face. "You sure about this?" she asked, her voice quiet. "Us? I mean, your world's not exactly welcoming." Lucas took her hand, his thumb tracing her knuckles. "Screw my world," he said. "You're my world now, Amara, and I'm not letting anyone, Lillian, Vanessa, or some bullshit society rules change that." She smiled, leaning into him. "You're still an idiot, Langley." "You're idiot," he said, kissing her softly. The rain had stopped and the stars peeked through the fog, a promise of clearer days ahead. The Langley mansion had never looked more alive. The rose garden, bathed in the soft glow of golden lights, was a vision of white roses and flowing drapes, like something out of a dream. The air carried the scent of blooms and sea salt, mingling with the smooth notes of a jazz band, tuning up on a small stage. Tables were set with crystal and silver. A vintage cake towering at the center, its icing gleaming like a promise. Tonight was Edward Langley's golden anniversary, a celebration of his love for his late wife Clara, and Amara, Carter, was at the heart of it, playing the role of a lifetime. But as she stood in the garden, her blue dress shimmering under the lights, she wasn't thinking about Clara. She was thinking about Lucas Langley, the man who'd turned her world upside down. The past few days had been a whirlwind. After their night in her Oakland apartment, Amara and Lucas had found a new rhythm, tentative but real. They'd talked through the mess of Vanessa and Malik, laying their fears bare. Lucas had promised to stand by her, and for the first time, Amara believed him. But the Langley mansion wasn't her world, and Lillian's shadow still loomed. Tonight, though, was about Edward, and Amara was determined to make it perfect. She adjusted the rose in her hair, her curls loose and catching the light. Edward stood nearby, frail but beaming in a tailored suit, his white hair combed neatly. He held her hand, calling her Clara, with a tenderness that broke her heart. "You look beautiful, my love," he said, his voice soft. 50 years, and you're still my girl." Amara squeezed his hand, her smile genuine. "Always, Eddie. Ready to dance with me?" He chuckled, a spark in his cloudy eyes. "I'll try not to step on your toes." Across the garden, Lucas watched, his heart full. He wore a dark suit, his gray eyes locked on Amara. She was radiant, not just because of the dress or the lights, but because of the way she made his dad shine. He'd fallen for her hard, her fire, her laugh, the way she called him out when he was being an ass. Tonight he wanted to show her she wasn't just part of this moment, but part of his future. Sophie Tranever, the chaotic angel, rushed over, nearly tripping over a cable. "Amara, the band's ready, and oh shit." She caught a falling glass just in time, her ponytail swinging. "I swear I'm gonna get fired one day." Amara laughed, steadying her. "You're a legend, Sophie. Keep being you." Sophie grinned, then whispered, "Lucas, can't stop staring. You're killing it, girl." Amara rolled her eyes, but her cheeks warmed. "Focus, Sophie. Let's make this night epic for Edward." The ceremony began, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold. Guests, family friends, business associates, and a few of Edward's old jazz buddies filled the garden, their murmurs blending with the band's soft rendition of "The Way You Look Tonight." Amara walked Edward down a path lined with roses, her arm in his playing. Clara with a grace that silenced even Lillian's sharp tongue. The older woman stood near the stage, her silver hair gleaming, her expression unreadable. Amara braced herself for a bob, but Lillian stayed quiet, her eyes fixed on Edward. At the center of the garden, Edward stopped, turning to Amara. The crowd hushed, sensing the moment's weight. His hands trembled as he spoke, his voice clear, despite the Alzheimer's fog. "Clara," he said, "I've loved you every day for 50 years. You're my song, my light. I know you're not really her." He paused, his eyes sharpening with a rare clarity. "But you've given me this night, and I'll never forget it." Amara's breath caught tears prickling her eyes. The crowd gasped softly, moved by his words. She squeezed his hand, her voice thick. "Eddie, you've given me more than you know." "Thank you." Edward reached into his pocket, pulling out a delicate silver necklace with a small rose pendant. Clara's from their wedding day. "This is for you," he said, fastening it around her neck. "Keep it, and keep my boy happy." "Okay. He needs you." Amara's tears spilled over and she hugged him, her heart full. "I will, Eddie," she whispered. "I promise." The crowd applauded, some wiping their eyes as the band struck up a slow tune. Lucas stepped forward, his own eyes misty, and offered his hand to Amara. "Mind if I cut in, Dad?" he asked, his voice rough. Edward chuckled, stepping back. "She's all yours, son." Amara took Lucas's hand, her fingers trembling. The band played Moonlight Serenade, and they began to dance. Lucas's steps, still clumsy but earnest. "You're still terrible at this," she teased, her voice shaky with emotion. "Shut up," Lucas said, grinning. "I'm trying, Carter. For you." She laughed, resting her head on his chest as they swayed. The golden lights above seemed to pulse with their rhythm, the world narrowing to just them. Lucas's hand rested on her lower back, warm and steady, and Amara felt something she hadn't in a long time. Home. The night wasn't without its chaos, thanks to Sophie. During the toast, she tripped over a tablecloth, sending a tray of champagne flutes crashing to the ground. "Oh, fuck!" she yelped, then clapped a hand over her mouth, her face scarlet. The crowd burst into laughter, and Toby, standing nearby, shouted, "Girl, you're my hero. Keep it real." Amara doubled over, laughing so hard her sides ached. Lucas shook his head, chuckling. "Sophie, you're gonna give me a heart attack," he said, but his tone was fond. Sophie scrambled to clean up, muttering, "I'm so fired." "Nah," Amara said, helping her. "Your family now, klutz and all." As the party continued, Lillian approached Amara, her posture stiff, but her eyes softer than usual. Amara braced herself, ready for another attack, but Lillian surprised her. "Ms. Carter," she said, her voice low, "I was wrong about you. I saw how you were with Edward tonight. You gave him something I couldn't. I'm sorry." Amara blinked, caught off guard. Thanks, Lillian. I just wanted him to be happy." Lillian nodded, a rare smile tugging at her lips. "You've done more than that. You've brought life back to this family. Don't let my nephew mess it up." Amara laughed, glancing at Lucas, who was talking to Edward. "I'll keep him in line." As the night wound down, the guests drifted away, leaving the garden quiet under the stars. Edward sat with a glass of whiskey, humming softly, his face peaceful. Amara and Lucas slipped away to the mansion's balcony, the city sprawling below like a sea of lights. The Golden Gate Bridge glowed red in the distance, a silent witness to their moment. Amara leaned against the railing, the rose necklace cool against her skin. Tonight was perfect, she said, her voice soft. Edward deserved it. Lucas stood beside her, his arm brushing hers. You made it perfect, he said. Not just for him, but for me. I didn't know I could feel like this, Amara. She turned to him, her eyes searching his. You sure about this? Us, I mean. Your world's still gonna push back. Lillian might be cool now, but there's always gonna be someone like Vanessa, someone who thinks I don't belong. Lucas took her hands, his grip firm. Screw my world, he said, his voice fierce. You're my world now. I don't care about the pushback, the gossip, or the bullshit rules. I love you, Amara, and I'm not letting anyone take that away. Her heart swelled and she smiled, tears in her eyes. You're still an idiot, Langley. You're idiot, he said, pulling her close. He kissed her soft and deep, the kind of kiss that felt like a vow. The stars above seemed to shine brighter, the city humming with possibility. A week later, Amara and Lucas stood on Baker Beach, the Pacific waves crashing at their feet. The moon hung low, casting a silver path across the water. Lucas had insisted on a night away from the mansion, just the two of them, and Amara couldn't say no. He'd brought a guitar, an old beat-up thing he'd dug out of storage, and was attempting to play At Last by Etta James. The notes were off his fingers, fumbling, but Amara didn't care. She sat on a blanket, her toes in the sand, laughing as he missed another chord. Shit, Lucas. You're butchering my song, she teased. Give me a break, he said, grinning. I'm new at this. She leaned against him, her head on his shoulder. Keep practicing, Millionaire. You've got time. He set the guitar down, turning to her. I've got forever. If you're in it. Amara's breath caught her heart full. Forever's a long time. Langley. Good, he said, kissing her forehead. I'm counting on it. From a distance, Toby and Sophie watched, crashing their impromptu beach picnic with a cooler of beers and a portable speaker blasting jazz. Y'all are gross, Toby shouted, cracking open a can. Get a room or a whole damn mansion, Sophie added, tripping over the cooler and spilling sand everywhere. Amara laughed, pulling Lucas into a hug. We've got the worst friends, she said. The best. He corrected his arms around her. The waves roared, the moon glowed, and Amara knew deep in her bones that this was where she belonged, not in a mansion, but with Lucas under the stars. The journey hadn't been easy. Amara had faced Lillian's suspicions, Vanessa's games, and her own fears of not fitting in. Lucas had fought his family's expectations, his jealousy, and the weight of a legacy he didn't always want. But together, they'd found something stronger than the obstacles. A love that didn't care about money, status, or the color of their skin. Amara had learned to trust her worth, to believe she was enough. Lucas had learned to live for himself, not his name. And Edward, in his own way, had given them the greatest gift, a reason to find each other. As the jazz played and the waves crashed, Amara looked at Lucas, her heart steady. We did it, she said. We made it through. He smiled, his gray eyes bright. And we're just getting started. Hey, if you've been swept away by Lucas and Amara's love story under those golden lights, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. What did you think of Edward's gift, or Lucas's terrible guitar skills? Let us know and tell us what kind of story you want next. Thanks for joining us on this journey.